Hello mga kasine, this is Bern Lomibaw and welcome to the second episode of Sining Sine Study Sessions. This series of podcast sessions we will talk about film. And for today, we will talk about narrative and non-narrative formal system in film. But before anything else, I hope my previous study session helped you on how to regard film as art and hope you had a better understanding of why a certain film forms became conventional. If you miss it, feel free to listen to it and let me hear your thoughts. Now, I have a question. Why do we need narration in a filmmaking? That's possible. Yes. Narration means the art of storytelling, and the purpose of narrative in film is to tell stories. Anytime you tell a story to a friend or a family member about an event or incident in your day, you already engage in a form of narration, and this can be factual or fictional. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng kwento natin narration na yun. Para saan pa nga diba at tinawag tayong mga marites at mga marisol. But going back to our main topic today, that how do the formal systems of narrative and non-narrative differ from one another? Let's start understand the narrative first. Narrative system unfolds as a story. Many stories to tell their events out of chronological order, for an instance through a flashbacks. Yet underneath there is a narrative that ties the event together. It can be organized through the story's cause and effect, the main idea, or by its own pattern. A narrative movie often has a viewer understandable beginning, middle, and end. And in its most basic form, narrative is the telling of a story in which the characters in the movie play parts. The use of structural devices like title cards, cast lists, intertitles that advance the plot, or a soundtrack with written dialogue may indicate the use of narrative in a film. Narrative home movies are also characterized by the acting conduct of the participants, such as dressing up in costumes, taking on roles or names that are totally different from their real self, and carrying out pre-scripted events. The idea that the action is plotted to a substantial extent or that it moves forward deliberately and has some type of narrative arc is maybe the most important aspect of the movie. Now, let's move on to the non-narrative system. It is the total opposite of narrative, to which non-narrative structure might not be chronologically arranged. A non-narrative film lacks a clear-cut plot or storyline. The graphics you see on the screen don't seem to be connected in any way, and the main character does not seem to have a clear objective. The pictures or scene in the non-narrative movie might be somewhat connected to one another, but they don't actually work together to make the story. And by using a prefix, it is indicated that this term is merely the opposite of narrative film. The difficulties are clear and obvious when attempts are made to define non-narrative in an affirmative manner, and filmmakers uses non-narrative system to have a touch of raw, spontaneous, naturalistic, and unscripted element of the film. Well, that's all for me today. I hope you learned something from me today. And of course, I'll be sharing more of this on our next study session. Again, this is Bird Lopibo. And ingat po kayo mga kasine. Bye!